Awesome. Well, hey, this is Scott Orn from Bensfriends, and I'm so excited to introduce Michael Jones. He goes by Bones, actually, folks. But Michael is one of the pioneers of ataxia support online, and he started the American Ataxia Networking site that's grown really fast, and he's produced a ton of videos and a ton of content for the ataxia community, and we're lucky to have him with us here on the Bensfriends podcast. By the way, we think this is going to be a recurring thing with Michael and I, interviewing other community moderators, but this is our first shot at this, so hope you have fun. Michael and I are going to ask you a few questions, and we'll see where this goes.
Hey, Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Welcome, Michael.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Maybe we could start off with you just giving your the quick background on ataxia and how it came in your life and
sure.
how you're managing it.
Sure. Well, ataxia can come from several ways. You can either be born with it, or it could be a genetic defect, or it could be an accident. And mine was caused from a stroke of the left cerebellum. Ataxia is a disease only of the cerebellum. Because of that, I had recurring effects of the disease. The disease affects balance. It can affect eyesight, heart, and some other things. And there's many forms of ataxia. And through that, when I came home, like everybody else, you go to a doctor and they tell you have ataxia. Of course, you come home and you go, gee, what's that? You're left alone, so that's how I got involved in coming up with the idea of starting a support group for people that have ataxia. Then I met...
Well, I was talking to Ben the other day on that, and we were talking about what goes through your mind, like that first, like you get the diagnosis. What goes through your mind? You come home and you're immediately thinking, I gotta check the internet for information.
Well,
call people you know. How do you handle that?
Well, at first, everything just seems so surreal because you're just trying to take in what they just told you. You're kind of in shock. So, you know, when you get in a car accident, everything slows down. I kind of had that kind of feeling, and then, of course, because of the internet, I actually asked several people if they've ever heard of it. No one even had heard of it. I got on the internet and found the foundation, and I found out that there really wasn't that much information on it, and surprising. Through that, doing the Google searches is, and I would suggest this to anybody who gets sick, is go do your research. Find out as much information as you can on the internet. Through that is how I met Ben. And with talking with Ben, we found out we had many common interests. And that's how I got involved with Bensfriends. But yeah, it's very humbling. You just kind of go into a shock mode. There's kind of 5 phases when you get into any kind of illness. There's that, you know, you're depressed and you go into shock. There's denial. You get mad. But always in the end, the last thing that always happens is acceptance. And that's where we try, and Bensfriends and all these support groups that we have, is to try to get the people up to that point of, first it's why me? Why did it happen to me? You know, is God mad at me, or what happened? And then there's, you're mad, you know, and you go through these certain phases, but always at the end it's acceptance. And that's...
Michael, you said something there that was, that you said a bunch of things that touched me, but very profound. You said it was humbling. You said it's all about acceptance. I love that, and I love how, like, and for folks who are listening, you know, you don't know much about Ben. We'll interview him next, but he's my friend. He started a similar network to Michael's, and Michael, I think it's so amazing that you, in your time of need, decided to reach out and start something so that everyone could benefit. I think that's amazing.
Now, to tell you my story, and I'll tell this for everybody that's sick. Doctors can only take you so far. Let's say if I had to go 12 inches high to get cured. Doctors can take you about 8 inches. There's 4 inches left. Okay? Doctors only can go so far. That last 4 inches is actually faith. God plays a big role in healing people. You actually, and being humbled, you must ask for help. And it's actually people's faith that actually will pull them through.
But I also think that you touched on something else. It's faith in God and spiritual faith. But I think what you're talking about also was the faith in other people and how other people can help you.
Yes.
How you all can kind of come to accept it. Amazing.
I almost wanted to change the name from Ben's Friends to Ben's Family, because actually not only do you become friends with everybody that's on these sites, you almost treat them like family. The support groups, the one that I made up, the American Ataxia Networking, the one that I would say I hang at,
yeah.
I know everyone there personally.
Yeah.
If someone comes in sick, we're all wishing him well. We all keep an eye on each other. If someone hasn't written for a while, we're asking, is something wrong? Does anybody know what happened? We'll make a phone call to the gentleman or lady.
One of my favorite parts is when someone says, like, hey, I'm going to the doctor's office for a test or something, and this might be a little scary. It's amazing. You'll get 30 or 40 responses below that person's post, encouraging them, offering support. It's amazing.
Maybe told them it's not that bad. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. What we're doing here for Ben's Friends is a phenomenal thing. To have, it's really, like you said, it's patients helping patients or people helping people. And people are, I've always said this, I don't know if a doctor is going to find a cure. I always thought the patients will find a cure. Somebody's going to find something. This worked for me. If you do this and that, this really helps. I'm very lucky on my site. I actually have a doctor that has ataxia. His name is Dr. Tom Klaus. He was a surgeon doctor, and he actually got taken away from work because of ataxia. Right now, he's one of the leaders in speaking, and actually I'm going to make a video for him, and I've been honored to have him on my site, and he has helped out hundreds of people, not only on my site, but anyone that goes to him. So our involvement not only involves patients, but we also involve medical people. What we're doing has been growing so fast, Scott. This last year we started with 3 communities, and now we're at 24.
It's mind-blowing to me how fast everything's growing. And Michael, I think there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and Michael's one of those folks that's helped build the network up. And maybe it's worth it for you to talk a little about the support you provide other moderators and people who are starting other sites.
Yes.
I think people don't know it. We have these sites, and then someone inevitably emails us and says, hey, my sister has another condition, or I suffer from another condition. Would you start another rare disease site? And we do that. That's what we do. That's how we got to 24. And Michael's one of the guys who goes, he's kind of like the front line guy who goes in there and helps them set it up and teaches them how to raise awareness. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Sure, I can. I'll tell you some of my moderators on my site. I want to tell you one story. I met this lady named Tracy. I wrote her and I asked her, how are you doing? And her first words to me was, Michael, I'm sitting home waiting to die. My heart stopped, but what I did was I said, no, you're not. You know what you're going to do? You're going to work for me. You're now a moderator at my site.
I love it.
And I said to her, you're going to work with me, and that nonsense about you waiting to die, that's not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, within 4 months, complete turnaround. Now she helps out people. And it was humbling on my part, but another gentleman, really down on his luck, having a hard time. I said, no, you're not. You're going to become working for me as a moderator. Those 2 moderators that I hired, I changed their lives. I actually, somehow they found purpose again.
Yeah.
People come to the site. We get many letters. I'm sure you do, Scott. Many letters. I get heavy letters from my son's going to die in 3 weeks. What shall I do? To asking all kinds of advice. And we try to supply that good support for them. And I'm sure testimony you can, Scott, people will tell you, I've prayed for years for a site like this. I've been alone, sitting on, I don't know what to do. I haven't been able to talk with anybody.
I hear that constantly. I get probably 10 emails a day like that. It's mind-blowing, but that's kind of what keeps us going. It's so fun to do it, you know. It's so fun to it's like you're saying, those extra 4 inches. I love that analogy where doctors and medicine can take you 8 inches up to your, you know, when you need to get 12 inches, and then your family and friends and the community online get you the extra 4 inches. That's amazing. It's a terrific analogy.
And that's what we're doing. That's basically what Bensfriends is doing for everybody. And just the letters I get time after time. I remember last time we talked, if I learned anything, I kept telling you what a family we become. And it's just so humbling. And very many success stories to you here on this site. And